Viewers, as you know, the nation has been debating for the last few weeks the omissions, the sins and commissions of Aurangzeb. And in the hurly-burly of what we get to hear in television debates, now a new additional element has been added, and that is the debate on someone who preceded him in history, a man called Ghayasuddin Tughlaq, the person who set up the third city of Delhi, as it were, called Tughlaqabad. Now, the BJP Member of Parliament Dinesh Sharma and a Union NDA Minister Krishan Gurjar have changed the address in the nameplates of their official residences on Tughlaq Lane in Delhi, days after their party colleagues proposed renaming various areas of the national capital. And you can see those pictures in the middle of your screens, viewers. The two senior leaders highlighted Swami Vivekananda Marg in the nameplates, with Tughlaq Lane inscribed beneath it in brackets. And those visuals from those nameplates are very clearly described. In fact, viewers, we even had the BJP leader coming out and saying very clearly, today, he said, along with my family, I performed the housewarming ceremony of my new residence at Swami Vivekananda Marg, in brackets Tughlaq Lane in New Delhi. So this, viewers, was Dinesh Sharma. Tughlaq name, viewers, has been named after the 14th century Delhi Sultanate ruler Ghayasuddin Tughlaq, carried the legacy of a period marked by invasions, forced conversions and destruction of indigenous or Indic culture. So that's a little biograph on this individual. Now, viewers, Tughlaq Road was named after this individual who was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty. Ghayasuddin Tughlaq was the ruler of the Delhi Sultanate between 1320 to 1325. Tughlaq established Tughlaqabad, the third city of Delhi, rule associated with harsh and heavy jizya taxation on Hindus. Records suggest that some temples were desecrated under his rule, some converted into mosques. Hindu prisoners were forced to work on massive projects as he continued to invade different parts of the country. By replacing Tughlaq's name with Swami Vivekananda Marg, the BJP leaders are claiming to honor a figure who symbolized India's spiritual and intellectual renaissance or resurgence, call it what you want to. Swami Vivekananda needs no introduction. He was a 19th century Sanatani who played a key role in reviving Indian self-confidence and countering colonial narratives that demeaned Indian culture. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has admitted to being inspired heavily by Swami Vivekananda's ideas about the importance of decolonizing the Indian mind. The NDA, as you know, viewers, has taken some visible steps in that direction. And let me acquaint you with what the NDA has done over the last few years. In fact, renaming of colonial era symbols has been a big thrust. And there are several examples. Rajpath was renamed Kartavya Path in 2022. The NDA installed Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's statue at India Gate, replacing the colonial era George V statue. The Mughal garden in Rashtrapati Bhavan was renamed Amrit Udyan, signaling a shift from a Mughal-influenced past. Allahabad renamed Prayagraj, Aurangabad renamed Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar. Aurangzeb Road in Delhi renamed APJ Abdul Kalam Road. Firoz Shah Kotla Stadium renamed Arun Jaitley Stadium by the DDCA. The NDA has renamed the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Ross Island to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Island. Neil Island was renamed to Shahid Dweep. Havelock Island is now referred to as Swaraj Dweep. There has also been a lot of work in trying to make the legal and governance frameworks in this country more indigenous. The British era Section 124A sedition law was removed as part of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita or the BNS of 2023. Replacement of colonial criminal laws with the BNS, the BNSS, and of course the BSA. All that has also happened. 1500 archaic British era laws have been scrapped. Then even on the military front, there has been an effort to try to decolonize. Indian Navy's insignia being the most talked about. The traditional St. George's Cross conferred by the British was replaced with a design inspired by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's seal. Reviving indigenous heritage, moving to replace India with Bharat, restoration of ancient temples through projects like Kashi Corridor promoting Sanskrit and Indian languages. Now, why have I given you such a long list, viewers? This is because the opposition leaders have opposed the BJP's campaign, the NDA's campaign, for a variety of reasons, including alleged Islamophobia, rewriting history to edit out Islamic cultural influence with a view to creating a culturally monochromatic saffron India. That's what they're saying. And there are several leaders who've come out and in fact made claims to that effect, from the AAP, from the Samajwadi Party, and of course from the Congress. Let's listen in.
देखिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी, उनसे जुड़े हुए संगठन, उनके सांसद, उनका केवल एक एजेंडा है, नफरत का एजेंडा, बंटवारे का एजेंडा। और कहीं ना कहीं भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सांसद उसी एजेंडे को आगे बढ़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं। नाम बदलने की पॉलिटिक्स, रोड का नाम बदलने की पॉलिटिक्स, ये भाजपा की पुरानी राजनीति है।
अरे साहब, किसी व्यक्ति के बदलने से कोई चीज बदलती है? और हम तो ये बार बार कह रहे हैं कि इनको पता भी है स्वामी विवेकानंद कौन थे, उनके क्या विचार थे। वो एक ऐसे व्यक्ति थे जो जातिवाद के खिलाफ काम किया करते थे, जो महिला उत्थान की बात किया करते थे, और इनकी तरीके का नहीं केवल दिखावा, वो थे जो सांप्रदायिकता के बिल्कुल खिलाफ थे, सर्वधर्म समभाव की बात करते थे, हर धर्म के बीच में एकता की और बराबरी की बात करते थे। और वो तो कभी भी नहीं कहते थे कि कोई एक धर्म किसी दूसरे धर्म से बड़ा है या छोटा है, जिस तरीके की ये घटिया सांप्रदायिकता और सांप्रदायिक राजनीति बीजेपी वाले करते हैं।
So you heard the Samajwadi Party leader, Fakhrul Chand. He said that this is part of the divisive politics, the agenda of divisive politics that the BJP has patented. And you heard Mr. Dikshit come out and say that I don't think they even know who Swami Vivekananda was. The BJP disputes this, viewers, believing that such steps help instill national pride and reinforce India's civilizational ethos. And therefore, on the back of these two disputing claims, these kind of contradictory views, let's open this up for debate. And I want to first begin with Ashutosh Mishra. Mr. Mishra, you're a senior journalist, you've been around for a long time. When the NDA has acted uniformly, almost secularly, they've even sort of tried to put paid to British influence, the British colonial influence, to erase signs of this colonial era domination. How is the opposition alleging Islamophobia, divisiveness, the furtherance of some sort of a saffron agenda? I don't understand this. Can you explain?
So if you see what has happened today, when two MPs on their own have decided to take the powers of the local municipal administration in their hand, and instead of saying Tughlaq Lane, have used the name Swami Vivekananda Marg. Now, what did Swami Vivekananda stand for? Narendra Dutt was about religious tolerance, and he spoke about ending fanaticism. Just opposite to that, Narendra Bhai Modi's parivar, they are always talking about Hindu being khatre mein. From whom? From people whom the Prime Minister recognizes by their attire. So there is a difference in their kathni and karni. This idea
I'm not
of
understanding. You're saying Swami Vivekananda ji was tolerant and had a problem with fanatics, right? But the people who are being eulogized today, like Aurangzeb and Mr. Tughlaq, they actually epitomized intolerance and fanaticism. So this should actually be in the interests of promoting Vivekananda ji's point of view by saying that, look, course correction is required.
When you talk about historical figures, just let's remember what they do in Ahmedabad.
Okay.
They refuse to change the name of
so hang
Ahmedabad.
on. Let's
same
one
NDA.
second.
We are talking about
okay.
NDA.
So
they have this. I'm just trying to show their duplicity. they don't want to change the name of Ahmedabad because Ahmedabad
They'll come to it.
has
Give them time.
They have already, this has been there since 1980s. APFP has been, and their minister has replied to it.
No, I'm not understanding. You're saying, first of all, that changing the name is part of a divisive agenda. How are these people tolerant and not fanatical? Aurangzeb, Tughlaq, several others. Explain to me, I mean, are you trying to suggest that we should continue to whitewash the anti-Hindu xenophobia of these kind of people?
What I am trying to say, that people who are trying to claim that they are trying to correct historical wrongs are in fact repeating the same things. They are accused of the same thing. If you accuse Aurangzeb of being anti-Hindu, we have these people who are also bigots like Aurangzeb. That's the feeling. Now, why do we say
talk in terms of facts? When you say bigots, how are you attributing bigots? The word bigots to people in the government. Explain to me.
When your prime minister stands in Ganga and says that the day I start doing Hindu Muslim, I will quit politics. The moment, and he's standing in Banaras and saying this. He gets out in a political rally, he talks about Mangal Soot khatre mein hai, he talks about Hindu khatre mein. What's that if not bigotry? You cannot, a person, what did Atal Bihari Vajpayee talk about? Raj Dharma, where everybody is equal in front of the eye of law.
I'm not going to step in here, but Alok Verma, explain. You're the national spokesperson of BJP. He says that bigots are here trying to supersede other bigots.
If you let me just put in one more sentence here. What this act of today of these two MPs does, it add weight to the opposition charges that Samvidhan khatre mein hai. These people are taking constitutional, they are making mockery of law.
No, one second. First things first. They've accepted that this is not part of their brief. They've said so. They've only said that we have the freedom to put on our nameplate. Like many people do outside their homes, they give a name to their home. We've decided to give a name like this to the home. We haven't removed from any place Tughlaq Lane. It's still there. But we're just adding another name. What's your problem? And we're doing it because we believe that the time has come to redress some of these omissions. But anyhow, Mr. Ajay Alok, how do you respond to Mr. Mishra here?
Well, Mr. Mishra is very much, he has full rights of his opinion, but let's withdraw this category of political analyst. This is no kind of political analysis. This is a kind of representation of your ideology where you are sitting. Now, Mr. Mishra should explain me one thing. If we remove British colonial signals, that is fine with him. But if somebody raises an alarm that, yes, Aurangzeb Road, Akbar Road should be renamed, Tughlaq Road should be renamed, somebody writes it as a Vivekananda Marg bracket Tughlaq Lane, he has a problem with that. Why? Why only with Tughlaq? Why not with British then? Why not?
I have a problem.
Now, who becomes?
Who goes
I didn't
around
interfere. I never interfered in between. Now,
Let him finish.
Now, who becomes the bigots here?
Yeah.
Now, who becomes the bigots here? This is not Islamophobia. This is dearness to Islam at the cost of Hinduism. Now, anybody in this country with a population of 82% of Hindus, you are not thinking of their welfare, but you are constantly thinking for the last 75 years, you have been constantly thinking for the welfare of Muslims. In anything. Today, Karnataka budget. I'll just give you one by one example. Another 1,000 crore, you are making a minority development corporation. What will that corporation do? That will finance minority in entrepreneurs, giving them loans. You are doing 1,000 crore second Hajj house. Everything in the name of minority. I mean, what the hell? What 82% Hindus did wrong to you here? Simple question. You have to be, if you are the real meaning of secular, that the government cannot have an eye towards the religion.
So you're saying two things, that there is an attempt, there has been an attempt to normalize Hindu phobia, and secondly, an excess minorityism. Quick one, Mr. Mishra.
First
quick
of all,
one.
Why no objection from British? If we remove the British idea, why there was no objection?
This was anti-colonialism. This has got nothing to do with punishing one particular community or anything like that. These are people who don't actually, at any level, have anything in common with a secular ethos, and they need to be put in their place. Now, whether it means removing them as references, taking them off pedestals, you support that in the BLM movement in the West. pulling down Confederate statues, but here you have a problem. Why?
The problem here is that the same people who are talking about being sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka prayas, when it comes to presenting facts, they cut facts. So you will hear them talking about Muslims getting funds. You will not hear them talking about SCs, STs, and OBCs getting funds. That they will not talk about.
No. There's a very big difference. Do you know that the Supreme Court bans? Do you believe that the Supreme Court? I don't know if you know this, but the Supreme Court has put an end to religion-based quotas. So, Brashra, I mean, I think we're trying to confuse 3 or 4 issues here. I want to bring in Mr. Bhati also. There is an issue here, and the issue that has been flagged by Ajay Alok is this, that there is a normalization of Hindu phobia and we're trying to correct it. We're just trying to resurrect an Indic past, and because that past is predominantly in consonance with the Sanatani Dharma ethos, it is inclusive.
Rahul, I think any conversation around this issue is bound to be polarizing. The point is that in India, we did not have a movement like the Truth and Reconciliation movement that happened in South Africa, Rwanda and all the other places, which is why most of the time the BJP would like to say the actual minorities in this country, and I would correct and I would use a different phraseology. The majority in this country actually feels that the historical injustice and wrong that was done to them was never talked about, let alone being redressed. I don't think people are talking about restorative justice here. It is about some certain nomenclature, certain insignia being replaced by a more value neutral terminology. Now the problem is that when Swami Vivekananda is being hailed as this beacon of Hindutva ideology, who was very tolerant towards other religions, but if we actually go into the kind of speeches that he made, the kind of literature that he has left behind, he's pretty aggressive about the fanaticism of Islam. But we would not want to address it on a national platform, because then Swami Vivekananda's statue doesn't suit the secular narrative that some people want to build. It is very akin to what has happened to B.R. Ambedkar. B.R. Ambedkar's views on Islam, B.R. Ambedkar's views on Pakistan are such that today nobody in India, even the Ambedkarites, I'm putting an open challenge, Ambedkarites would not want to come and read, I'm not even asking to analyze, just read that passage that he has on Islam in Pakistan. The problem is that we do not have a redressal mechanism. We have been far more dishonest in our intellectual ability.
Why didn't we ever opt for one?
I think attempts by individual MPs that we see right now is an attempt to push our conversation in that direction. Now, is India ready for that kind of conversation? Is a question that we need to ask the two polarizing camps. Can we have a civil conversation on this issue?
But I'm going back into history.
Sure.
You would have expected, and look, historical memory remains. And you look at the Jews in Israel, for example, they carry a certain historical memory of where they came from, and therefore they legitimize their place in that particular area, that geography. Now, Hindus have seen desecration of their temples, the continued occupation of their temples, laws brought in to basically alienate them from their claims, even alienate them from the courts to seek redress. Why was this happening?
Because as Ajay ji very rightly pointed out, it is dearness to Islam rather than Islamophobia.
Mr. Bhati, dearness. Now, viewers, you see, the reason I brought everybody and we've got this conversation into one space is deliberate. We're breaking away for today from that 6-window, 4-window format. That's because sometimes you need to sit face to face and engage in a little bit of truth. Forget about reconciliation here, at least truth. So, Mr. Bhati, let's talk truth. Isn't it a fact that for a long time, by putting these individuals, by having names like Bhaktiyarpur next to Nalanda, the junction for the train station, for having names written in stone like Aurangzeb Road and Aurangabad, we were putting people on a pedestal who actually had nothing to contribute towards what is today a very syncretic, tolerant civilization like ours. In fact, they were the very nemesis of it.
Thank you, Rahul, and good evening to all. First thing, even discussing about change of names is somewhere adding to the fact that BJP is able to divert the issues, the core issues of this country. I will be very happy if the cost per kilometer get reduced, because it was in 50 paisa per kilometer in UPA government. It is 2.5 rupees per kilometer in BJP government. So changing the name lane actually keep the issues which are burning issues, you want to put them on the back burner. First thing, I will be very happy you change the name of the cities, bring those 100 smart cities which we are supposed to build by 2020-22. Name them. I will be very happy if you do that. I will be very happy if you talk about the people who lost the new record has been broke in the stock market. A 30 years record has been broken. I will be very happy if you talk about the dollar, which is going all time high. I will be very happy if you talk about the petrol, diesel. You are charging 35 rupees per liter from that common man.
Mr.
Is
Bharti,
that common man is concerned about the name? No, let me, and I am coming to your point. I am coming to your point. Rahul, just be patient. I am coming to the point. Is this going to resolve all those issues which I am mentioning? And there are 100 more issues which are there in their manifesto. If those issues get resolved, I will be very happy if you say. And one hand you talk about the Aurangzeb. On the other hand,
are you going to today say? One second, let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. Was it wrong?
If you want me.
Was it wrong of Ms. Mayawati, for example, when she was in power, to redress the Dalit sense of loss of identity, to set up big parks, statues for many Dalit leaders, etc.? Was it wrong? Should that not have happened? Did they not deserve it? Or was she trying to change the conversation and divert attention?
She was not playing that polarization politics. She was doing what their ideals.
So when Mulayam Singh's statue comes up, no, hang on, no, 1 second. When Mulayam Singh's statue comes up in the middle of the Kumbh, viewers, that is not diverting the conversation. That is establishing a legacy. That is actually, at some level or the other, redressal for grievances of backward classes and castes.
Can I answer that?
This is bizarre.
We have, this is also bizarre that you have mandirs of Mr. Narendra Modi. That is bizarre. Your followers, if they do something, you have mandirs of Narendra Modi.
One second.
Yeah, they have photos.
If a common citizen, no, I'm talking about, don't confuse issues. No, 1 second. We are talking about the state taking on certain responsibilities.
No, you are saying it's bizarre to have a photo of Netaji in Kumbh Mela. Do you think bizarre?
Because the Samajwadi Party said that we set it up.
The legend who got the Padma.
Okay, so viewers, here is the logic.
The backwards.
No point shouting, sir. We are very close to each other. No point shouting. My point is, I'll tell you, viewers. No, fair enough. But I want to make it very clear, viewers. A party says that we are putting up a statue. And that is not about changing the conversation. That is about establishing a legacy, giving back to those who supported a particular cause, a socialist cause, or call it the cause for redressal or revivalism, etc., etc. But if the BJP does it or the NDA does it in an organized way, that is communal, that is divisive, that is diverting attention from topics at hand. Viewers, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But nonetheless, 1 second, yes, Ajay Alok, please respond.
The definition of secularism in this country is different from what is the definition of secularism in Constitution. You do talk goody Muslim, you're very secular. But if you talk right about Hindu, you become communal. This has been the age-old story for the last 80 years. My friend Mr. Bharti should go and give tuitions to Akhilesh Yadav.
Okay.
For why he supported Abu Azmi when he said Aurangzeb Rahmatullah Saleh. I hope you understand the meaning of Rahmatullah Saleh. What does it mean? It means next to God.
So let me ask him, Mr. Bharti, tell me something. Is the UBT Sena part of the India alliance?
We supposed to.
Yes, isn't it?
We suppose that. Yeah, I think.
No, what do you mean? What do you mean you think? It is, isn't it? It's a fact. Okay. So who has come out and asked Akhilesh Yadav to sack Abu Azmi for his great praise of Aurangzeb? It's not the NDA, viewers. Yes, they have added to it, but who has begun that conversation? So even from within the India bloc, there are people uncomfortable. And let me ask you, 1 second, Mr. Bharti, I'll ask you the question because you'll again spin me around. I'll ask you a straight question. And this is a very straight one. If Aurangzeb is an icon for the Samajwadi Party, and if it is not an icon for the Samajwadi Party, I don't know who to believe, because Abu Azmi, for him he's an icon. Maybe for your leadership that has been very reluctant to come out and state in absolute black and white where they stand on it. So I'm putting you. Is he an icon? Do you agree with Abu Azmi?
Rahul,
Yes or no? Let's answer the question.
I allege you that you are playing with the words. Tell me or play
I'm
that
asking you,
bite
Mr.
where
Bharti,
he has mentioned,
Mr. Bharti,
even Mr. Abu Azmi mentioned that he is idle. He
has said that Aurangzeb was a great person.
That
I'm
was
asking you
written
a
in the
question.
history.
Then why is Uddhav Thackeray got a
all
problem?
those books
Then why is Uddhav Thackeray
written
got
in
a
the
problem?
history
Mr.
about
Bharti,
Aurangzeb?
then
And
why?
second thing,
Then, no, one
because
second. Okay,
now you
yeah.
have asked me a question. Let me
Abu Azmi.
Tweet.
say.
There's a tweet.
Right.
So you have a situation where
What's that
he's
tweet?
coming out and saying very clearly.
What's that tweet?
Yeah.
Well,
Let
one
me
second.
read it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Let
read
him-
it.
yeah.
And
One second.
you have asked your question. Let
First
me
one.
reply
No, no,
also.
yeah, okay.
औरंगजेब
Yeah.
रहमतुल्लाह अलैह का इतिहास पढ़िए और उनका राज देखिए.
हाँ तो
No, no, one
इतिहास
second, one
पढ़िए और
second.
देखिए
औरंगजेब
और
रहमतुल्लाह
औरंगजेब का
सलेह.
इतिहास पढ़िए.
Mr. Bharti,
भाटी जी मतलब समझते हैं?
Why is Uddhav Thackeray?
Next to God.
Let me tell you one more
और
thing.
उसके बाद
Alok
अखिलेश.
ji. Alok
नहीं,
ji,
I'll show you
let me-
Akhilesh tweet.
Let me say.
Over this tweet, I'll show you
In
Akhilesh
the
tweet.
history book, it is written Great Mughal Raj.
History
Okay,
book, that's
history
what the
books,
wrong history is
it
about.
is written.
That is
So
what
that
the
means
wrong
they are
history
great.
about. Colonial rulers, it becomes our
and
history.
if
So
you
we can
say
never,
something-
redress
see,
the wrongs of
someone-
history.
someone is
No, no,
addressing.
hang on. So are you suggesting,
Can
sir?
you-
No,
can
one
I- can
second.
you-
That all history is right. Then tomorrow the BJP will say, well, there is a certain history that suggested that the caste system is immutable. Would you agree with it? No, you won't.
can you
You
ask-
actually militate against certain histories in this country. Now, one second, Mr. Bharti, I'm
why
asking
you
you a
have-
fundamental question here. Do you support, forget about your party right now, as an individual, do you support anyone coming out, forget even your party man, I'm asking you, as an individual, would you support anyone coming out and saying that Aurangzeb was a ruler who was great? Simple question.
Why, I don't know, Rahul, why you are insisting to paint us that
I am not painting you.
No,
The
that was
questions
you
are not
trying-
being,
no,
okay,
you are-
forget me.
no,
Let me
you-
ask
if
the
you-
question that
if-
Uddhav
if
Thackeray
you-
has asked of you. He is
if
not
you
an enemy,
interject
is he?
me in every word, every sentence, then how I'll answer, how will I allow
Okay.
to put my point?
Okay, so I'm
Let me-
asking you,
let-
then forget
let
me. Forget me.
No, no, give
I'm
me
asking
at
you,
least
why
a
is Uddhav
second.
Thackeray, why is
Whatever you
Uddhav
want to
Thackeray
paint,
asking you
that's
this
yours.
question?
Do not have any right to do that. Whatever you want to paint, you can paint that. Have we said that Aurangzeb is, we are saying Aurangzeb is a brutal, he was cruel, he was what, but why we have double standards when it comes to BJP?
One
On
second.
one hand, now you will interrupt, you will not even allow me to complete my point and ask, let BJP answer that also. When Aurangzeb is such a brutal, cruel leader, what about these generals? The General Jai Singh, the General Jai Singh descendants are minister in BJP government. If whatever was happening through the journals,
No,
because
are you
whatever cruelty
suggesting
was
that-
happening,
No, this is like saying that, this is very
Rahul,
dangerous territory we are going. Now,
maybe
one
that's
second.
not important.
Viewers, this is very important.
listen.
No, one second, Mr.
One
Bharti.
hand you are
Tomorrow,
saying- one
you
hand
will,
are saying
tomorrow there will
that,
be people who will come out and
Aurangzeb
blame.
was doing that.
No,
Aurangzeb
one
was doing
second,
through
one
his
second.
Journals.
Viewers-
Journals are equally
Viewers-
liable
viewers-
for those or equally
viewers-
convicted or culprit for the same thing.
Yes.
So you cannot have
Yes.
one
Yes.
story for one thing and another story for other thing.
I agree with you, sir, but generals were serving a tyrant and it was either their head on a stake or it was following a directive. Now,
Directive
one
you
second,
you
let me just
destroy
finish.
temples,
Can you please,
you
can you
kill,
allow me, sir? Can you,
Hindus, you do
sir, we
everything
don't have much time.
because we are
Mr.
doing
Bharti,
under the
Mr.
government.
Bharti, Mr. Bharti, there is whataboutery here. I asked him a simple question. It's not a question that I'm asking. It's Uddhav Thackeray who's asking the Samajwadi Party to sack, suspend Abu Azmi.
So one question.
This is a question that is being
BJP,
asked by one India
sacking
partner of
JDU,
another. Anyhow,
MLC,
let me-
is BJP sacking JDU,
Ajay
MLC,
Alok,
who
Ajay
has
Alok,
also praised,
Ajay
who has
Alok.
also praised yesterday only.
so it
he's
doesn't
praised
matter.
About Aurangzeb.
Again, what about
Tell
is
about
there,
BJP.
what
whether
about the BJP?
is-
What about the
is-
BJP?
is,
What about the BJP?
having,
Ajay Alok.
I'll answer you. Now listen to me. On this tweet, what I have shown you of Abu Azmi, Akhilesh Yadav retweeted and he said, हमारे विधायक हो या सांसद उनकी बेखौफ दानिशमंदी बेमिसाल है. What a big flattery Urdu he has. I'm amazed.
Well,
इतना अच्छा हिंदी लिख लेते हैं.
look, viewers-
Now second thing.
Yeah.
Now second thing. We have already raised our concern over JDU's MLC, and JDU has reprimanded him. Number one, this issues get solved. Now, number two,
it's not
this
solved.
is the problem.
No,
this
no,
is
no.
the problem. You know what? He
No,
talked
no.
about generals, and he was
No, no.
mentioning Hindu generals
No, no,
of
no.
Aurangzeb or Akbar, for that matter. There was Jayachandra also in
Shivaji
Hindu
was
religion.
captured by the same general.
And it was
Shivaji
only
was
a
captured by
one-sided.
the same
It
general.
was one-sided
Okay.
marriage all the
On
time.
one hand, you are saying that
they kept on doing
Shivaji was
conversion.
Stop
captured by the same
shouting.
general.
Stop
Why are you
shouting.
shouting?
Please stop
Shivaji was
shouting.
captured by the same
Calm
general
down,
you are
calm
talking
down.
about.
Viewers,
On
I'm
one hand,
running
you are
out of time.
taking a grand
I'm
standing
running
about
out of
Shivaji.
time. I'm running out of time. Viewers, in the interest of balance, I just want to say one thing, and this is important. We cannot have double standards. We can't say that the BLM movement, the Black Lives Matters movement in the West is entitled to rewrite history, pull down the statues of Confederate generals who were part of the machinery that oppressed them. But in India, we shouldn't do that because we must strictly preserve our history. We can't have double standards. Secondly, viewers, what replaces? My concern is what replaces. And the question therefore is, can the NDA ensure that its campaign to embrace a future rooted in Indic traditions will also be inclusive? Fundamentally, that is a question that we should be focusing on. Yes, viewers, India is tolerant because predominantly it's a Hindu country. And one hopes that that stays and remains. That is our best hope. Because viewers, left to the politicians, especially a particular block of politicians, they make a virtue out of individuals like Aurangzeb and Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq.